Hello and welcome to the Darby Creek Diaries. I'm Gail Thompson and I'm so happy to be part of the Halloween video hop. Not all Halloween cards have to be spooky, so we've got some that are a lot lighthearted. And this is the project we're going to make today. I'm going to put the name of the next stop on the beginning of my description. So let's just dive in. I'm using a gel plate to make since I don't have the stamp that I want, I have a stencil. So I'm just going to kind of do a negative image. I am putting black distress ink all over the plate. It's really hard for you to see, but it is there and it'll come out a lot darker than it looks. And I'm just using a mini Ranger brayer to do that. I'm dropping on the Hero Arts spider web, and then I'm crookedly, unfortunately, laying down the paper, but this doesn't matter because this is the uh, positive that I don't want. So I'm just going to wind up pitching that because, well, you could use it for another card. Then I'm pulling the stencil off, and this is the print that I want to grab. And this is a little problematic because is a little crooked. And I didn't have any scrap paper around me and I was too lazy to get up. So it would be better to put scrap paper over the top and you could run a brayer, but my brayer was dirty. So I'm just rubbing it with my fingers and pulling it up for the reveal. And there you go. Isn't that cool? That's what you do when you don't have the stamp, but you wanted that part of the stamp. We're making an Eclipse card, or an Eclipse card, I'm not sure. And I'm taking a little bit of the sticky off of this tape because even though it's low tack, it still sometimes will pull your paper. And I'm using this die, which unfortunately it doesn't appear to be available, but it is from the stamp market. So you might want to take a look and see if it's back in stock, but no one else seems to have it. You want a big, bold die for this so that you can see the image underneath. And I'm taking the new Crackling Campfire Distress Ink, which I love. I didn't think I needed it, but once I got it, I knew I did. I'm trying to make the edges a little darker, kind of give it a little bit of variation. I'm using a Pink and Main blender brush, which is good for putting things on light and building it up, because sometimes I tend to really go heavy-handed. So I'm just coloring up the images really quickly, super easy. And I'm going to start off because I wanted a little bit of sparkle. I'm going to start off heat embossing it with clear sparkle embossing powder. And I'm hitting it with Versamark plain sticky ink, which is an embossing ink. There are lots of others as well, but the Versamark was the first and the old standby for me. And I wasn't happy. I thought, well, I didn't think there was enough ink there, so I just thought I'd add a little more. And on goes the embossing powder, and I've said this 1,000 times, but this is what got me into making cards, was seeing the heat embossing. It's just so much fun. So I'm going to get rid of the excess because I do tend to dump things. And I got my heat gun hot before I brought it to the die cut to keep it from warping. And once you have it hot, the process goes really quickly. So you see that now there's lots of sparkle. Well, I didn't want tons of sparkle, so I'm covering it up with another layer of Versamark ink, and I'm going to use the Crackling Campfire Distress powder. That it's a translucent powder. You can see through it. It's a glaze, and it's just brand new. And I added a little more, it adds a little more color, just a little more tinting, and it kind of dyes back the glitter a little bit. And to raise it up, I decided to use some craft foam that I had laying around. Now, I've been using paper lately, but this was black and it was available, so I went ahead and I let it sit for a while so it puffed back up. And I'm just going to, as you would an Eclipse card, just going to puzzle piece it back into its spot. But since I had done it crooked, I needed to kind of fix up my edges. And I wasn't really going to be able to fit all that in on my card front anyway, so it worked out well. I started out using the guillotine trimmer, and I switched to this because you can really see where you're cutting with this. So I really like this cutter. And I'm just cutting down to the frame. The stencil has a spider web, then it has a little frame, and then it's got a frame on the outside. So it would completely cover a card front, I think, and even then some. So I'm just bringing it back down so I'll have a little bit of an edge to, kind of make it pop. Now I'm using Brutus Monroe's 130-pound, really thick, not your mama's cardstock. And I have all this listed below, or at least most of it. And my Teflon bone folder, and you always want to flip it the opposite way after you do that crease. And I always lay my cards flat when I'm working on them. That way I can see that top line really well. And I feel like I can center it better. And I always stand up when I put it down as well. Now I'm using art glitter glue, which is my favorite glue. I have lots of glues, but this stuff, it dries quickly, it's strong, and it doesn't clog. And I really like it. So I'm just going to plop my black base there and eyeball it. I don't measure whenever I can possibly get away with it. And I don't really like to see white edges, so I'm taking that soot distress ink and just kind of running it along the side. It just gives it a more finished look. I don't know why I stick my one finger out like that, like I'm drinking a martini or something, or whatever. So I'm going to glue the bottom part of our Eclipse, and I'm trying to get right around the lettering so it'll lay down good, but you don't want to stretch this out. It'll get all wonky. And I'm eyeballing it once again, not particularly thrilled, so I'm shifting it, which is why I use a liquid glue. And I'm just pressing it down with my hand. It dries very quickly. Now I'm just layering on my foam, and this foam, I forgot, this has sticky on the back. But I didn't want to take it clear off in case, it gets laid down and stuck. So I'm trying to take it off gradually, and I tear it on purpose so I can position this part of the H, which kind of sets the tone for the whole rest of the thing laying, right? So then I laid it down to make sure it was going to work, and then I'm pulling up the release paper for the rest of the word. It's just like when you're laying a background and you're using tape and you tape off some so that it sticks out on the sides so you can pull it. It's kind of the same idea. I hope everybody's doing well and you have nice weather. I have nice weather, but I can't have the window open because the neighbor dog is barking, and now I hear my dog barking because the neighbor dog is barking. And he's been barking all morning, so it's delightful, but I needed to get this done and I waited long enough. So I'm taking the middle piece there and filling in the high. And now it's time to flatten my card back out and add our embossed piece. I hope you will consider subscribing, and if you click like and that bell, that would be awesome, and you would also be notified of any new posts. This is an ornament die from Hero Arts. I'm just using the hanger part of it, and I'm going to snip off the part that goes on the ornament here. And I thought I'd add a little spider. I just happen to have spider confetti. Don't ask me why, I just do. I think it's from back in the days when we used to stick it in cards and then people open it up and it would dump all over, but people really didn't appreciate that. So I quit doing it for the most part. So I'm just gluing this down, and this will be the web that the spider's gonna hang on. I want to make it even with the top of that and as straight as possible without measuring. So I keep kind of messing with it. And I'm just going to glue down my itsy bitsy spider. I think the Itsy Bitsy Spider was the first song I ever learned. And there is almost the complete card. We still need to put a sentiment on it. And I don't do a lot of Halloween cards, so I kind of keep things generic. This one's going to say Happy Halloween, but the high part is, you know, kind of more me. That way I could use it for anything in the fall. I'm going to heat emboss, so I use my powder bag to get the static off. And this is a Crazy Sayings from Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous. It's an older set. I'll have to check and see if it's still available. And I'm just going to emboss that once again with a Versamark ink and add some white embossing powder. I like a black strip sentiment with white powder on it. And I also like the reverse. So that's mostly what I tend to do. Everything, they used to say when you're decorating a house, every room should have a little bit of black. I think that kind of goes for cards too. Just a little bit of black. And here I already have the sentiment on there off camera. And I'm showing you it just has a little bit of bling, little bit of creepy, little bit of shiny. I really love it, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to hop on over to the next person, and for any more information, go to tailormadecardsforyou.com for the whole list of hoppers. I've had so much fun, and I hope you enjoyed it. I also hope you'll follow me on lots of different social network channels. And I hope that you have a wonderful week and that you come back and see me soon. Bye-bye.